sky.
Pain has a face. Allow me to show it to you. I am pain.
Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, ghosts, and ghouls. I am Sam, I am Mason, and welcome to the Sacrificial Terror Podcast. Tonight, we have a very special guest. We have the one, the only, Mr. Parrish Randall, with always, that's right, Circus of the Dead, baby. But with always my co-host, the beautiful and wonderful Miss
Zombie Barbie.
And my brother from another mother, Mr. Incomparable himself, Mr. Lance the Flair Wagner.
Woo!
All right.
We got Parrish Randall. We got Parrish
right?
Randall.
And tonight's show is brought to you by Sacrificial Productions and produced by Miss Rhiannon Nicole and Samantha Wagner, who is off screen making sure Lance doesn't fuck anything up.
That's right. Right over there.
So, all right, guys, Mr. Parrish Randall, welcome to the show.
Wow.
Hey, I'm glad to be here. I want to thank you guys for having me on. Absolutely.
Awesome.
We've been looking forward to this interview for like a month and a half since we scheduled you out. So.
We nicknamed him the trifecta. You're actually the trifecta.
I saw that on social media. And
That's
I
right.
Yeah,
That's right.
right.
We love Circus of the Dead.
Oh,
I've been
yeah.
watching your shows and thoroughly enjoy it. I do.
Awesome.
You guys do a great
Thank you,
job.
Parrish.
And I really appreciate
Thank
you guys
you.
having me on.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Don't get confused,
Makes you feel good.
as to which look down, look up. Yeah, it's like,
All right.
I'm just kind of looking everywhere, man. You know, hey, I'm not high. I couldn't.
Next thing you know, you're going to have a demon somewhere in behind you. Maybe a clown demon or some shit. I don't know.
It could happen. It could happen.
You know?
Popcorn
doing
showing up.
this whole looking
Yeah.
back around, back
Well,
and forth.
my wife is like taking a nap, so if I wake her up, there really could be a demon behind
There
me.
you go. There you go.
It's-
And you
it's
took-
29 yards.
You told us before the show started, that's your wife of how many years?
37 years.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
You told me at the convention. I knew that already, but that's amazing.
Bravo.
And we,
you don't see that
we
shit
met
no
in
more.
1981. And we
Wow.
were high school kids, and we were high school sweethearts, and we got married the August after we graduated. So
Wow.
in
Congratulations.
1985. So actually, if you got to add 4 years to that. So yeah, I love that woman. She's my baby. So,
That's awesome.
always.
Hell yeah, brother. That's awesome.
I was 3
Oh.
years old when you got married.
Oh God, that's whoa. Who needs Botox?
Right?
Oh, man.
All
All
right. So as you can see on Lance's screen, I have him on my right-hand corner, about a foot and a half over. I see Papa Corn. So let's jump right in and talk about Circus of the Dead.
All right.
So,
Search of the Dead. Yeah. What do you want to know?
I know.
well,
I know.
mean,
just
go ahead, Lance.
Let me say this, Parrish. When we had Bill on, I got it. And hopefully Bill sees this because I want him to actually know. So
He'll watch it.
we're all excited. We're all excited. And we're telling Bill we really want to push Circus of the Dead for Billy. Get the word out. Get more attention brought to it.
Exactly.
So Bill's like, oh, yeah, let's talk. Let's help Billy out. Blah blah blah. So we start talking about it as we start rolling, and he goes, yeah, that character scared the shit out of me. Basically, not verbatim what he said. He goes, but that character. And so I'm like thinking, oh shit, do we talk about it? Do we not talk about it?
Right.
You know, but because he said it, you know, and the way he explained it, that popcorn was just no redeeming values whatsoever. You know, it's just, and so for you,
Right.
how was that acting against that?
Well, you know, I saw Billy's episode, and you know, Billy explained to you that initially, he contacted me, Billy did, and he wanted me to play Detective Roper, okay, the cop.
Right.
And Billy had never seen me play anything but the rootin' tootin' kind of bad guys. And so.
And these kind of movies right here.
You got it, man.
Of course you have it.
You know, I'll talk about that later.
Lance has fucking everything.
It's everything.
But bottom line, you know, I was happy to play Roper, but I read the script and I loved that, you know, that role of Don or Donald. And I asked Billy, I said, you know, is role cast? And at that time it was with another actor. And I respect that totally. I mean, you never, at least I never, ever go out to try and take a role from another actor. I mean, to me, integrity is everything. Okay,
Right.
Do it right or don't do it. Okay.
Yep.
And so what I said to Billy was during that kind of audition process, I said, you know, okay, so the role of Don is cast, and I know you've never seen me play anything but these kind of like quick and the undead bad guys. Could I at least read a couple of sides for Don, the more emotional ones, with the tears, the rage, the anger, to show you what I can do so that in the future, if you have another role like that, you can potentially think of me. And Billy said, sure, why not? I mean, it wasn't going to hurt anything. And so I did. And we moved forward still thinking that I thought, you know, I'm playing Roper. And it was on a Friday. Billy and his team were flying me out to Odessa. And I had prepared for Roper. And I'm one of those actors. I'm a method actor, so I take a month to really prepare a character.
Oh wow!
You know, you've got to, as an actor, you've got to actually prepare by creating a backstory. At least I do for me to do it properly. What made the character the way he is in the script? Okay, you see him from page 1 to page whatever, but he had a whole life before that, and what brought him to that point, right? And a lot of things go into, as Bill, I'm sure, may have explained. I haven't seen the show yet. I intend to watch it. A lot of things go into creating a character. Anyway, I prepared for Roper, and in the airport, as I was going through security, my phone rings. I look down. It was Billy, and I answered. Bill, like I said, they were flying me out that day, and I'm in the airport. And Billy says, "Say, what are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm going through security." He said, "Well, would you like to play Don?" And I'm like, "Whoa, yeah, sure." I was confused. He said, "Well, the other actor left." And again, I don't get into why. I don't know. That's not my business, you know, with all due respect. And so I asked, you know, how long will I have, you know, to prepare, you know? He said, the plane ride. I mean, the flight.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, shit. What do I do? So, but I said, hey, I still want it. And so I had packed to go out there for a week and ended up being out there a month. And
Wow.
spent a lot of time at the laundromat, you know. I go to Walmart and buy myself some underwear. And, you know. But, you know, listen, that role, playing Don, was awesome because it gave me a chance to play a role that was the antithesis of all those others that I'd been cast in. I saw Don as a family guy who didn't really appreciate what he had in front of him, a beautiful wife and 2 kids, until they were gone. Okay. And so as I was, let me kind of digress here. The first couple of scenes we shot, the circus scene and the scene with myself and Chanel that very day I landed, it was, I don't know, I watch it and I realize I was totally unprepared. I'm like, oh shit, now, you know. But I get back to the, you know, the hotel room, and that night I had time to really prepare, to drill down, and it hit me. What popcorn represented to Don was the same thing that, and this is going to sound crazy to some, but to me, in my mind, he represented the very same dynamic as Clarence the Angel did to Jimmy Stewart's character in It's a Wonderful Life. Okay,
Gotcha.
in a very dark way. All right, Clarence.
Very dark.
Very.
That is my favorite movie, Christmas movie.
Mine too. But the premise is the same in that Clarence, he showed Jimmy Stewart's character what life might have been like without it. Okay, Popcorn came along and he basically showed Don, hey, you fucked up. You had it all. Now this is what life is without everything you took for granted. So from that perspective and a few other preparatory things, you know, I moved forward. Working with Bill was awesome because Bill works the same way I do. You know Bill Randall, I know, and you know, he really gets into preparing the characters. He's a method actor, and like I said, so am I. That's the only way I know. That's the way I trained, and I still go back to refresh training. You know, the idea is, as an actor, to never act. Okay, acting is never acting. Acting is reality. When you step out in front of that camera, you are him, that person you're playing. And that moment or those moments in front of that camera, they're real. And the emotions are real. Whether it be tears, rage, doesn't matter. They have to be real, and you have to tap into certain aspects of your past to bring forth the real tears or the real anger. Anything less than the reality is cheating the audience, and worse. Well, there's nothing worse than cheating the audience, but it's also cheating yourself as an actor when you just kind of phone it in. It's bullshit, you know? And so working with Bill, it was awesome. It was one of the best experiences I've had because he worked just like I did. He was Popcorn. I was Donald. The more that we progressed through the film, there's the sadism coming from Popcorn, and there's the real fear coming from Don. And what you see on screen is very real. It's palpable. And I think that's what makes the film resonate as it does with viewers. Okay. And so, again, it was a great experience. And working with Billy. Billy, I'd met Billy a couple of times at the Texas Frightmare Weekend Convention prior to Circus of the Dead. Since Circus, Billy and I have become friends, and love him like a brother. And but working with Billy and all the folks in Odessa, it was a really awesome experience, and one that you don't have on every film. Trust me.
Right.
I've been on location sometimes where, you know, you don't have anybody but yourself, which is fine. Yeah. Hey, we're all grown. But in Odessa, these people showed up and they were bringing us pies and cakes, and they were happy to have us there. Hey,
that's really cool.
Hey, that's what I call crafty right there.
Hell yeah.
And, you know, I say to people, you know, it's one film that when we wrapped at the end of the 30 days, when I left, I really felt like I was leaving family. I don't know that I've ever experienced that on any other film. I've done over 20 films, and, you know, I don't know, it was just a very different experience. Yeah.
That's cool. Have y'all started Cowboys from Hell yet?
Billy is perfecting the screenplay.
Okay.
And Billy, if you know Billy, Billy is a total perfectionist, and I respect that greatly. He and Lee Ankrum co-wrote Circus, and I believe they're co-writing Cowboys as well. And Billy's not going to put any story out there unless he feels that it nails exactly the vision that he has.
Gotcha.
Both from that action perspective, storyline, and dialogue. And, you know, I don't know about people, you know, that everybody knows this, but there's a lot of screenwriters out there who write great action and great storylines, but they bring in a co-writer to write dialogue. I mean, writing dialogue is a tricky endeavor, okay?
Gotcha.
And so, anyway, Billy and Lee Ankrum are kind of the perfect combination once they, you know, come together, dialogue, action, storyline, and yeah, they create some pretty cool, horrifically magical stuff. Yeah. Looking forward to Cowboys, but no, we haven't started rolling yet.
I'm glad
But-
we actually got a chance to dive into how many films that you've done, because I have IMDb pulled up right now, and I'm looking through some of your older stuff. So if this reads correctly, Quick and the Dead was your first acting role.
Well, actually, I started pursuing it after, I wanted to get into film, and I told the story a lot, so I'll make it quick. Believe it or not, I didn't make it quick. People start talking too much. Damn it.
I told you, Rhiannon, he can talk. Parrish got some
We
stories.
like that though. That's
We
good.
do.
Okay, here's the deal. You come onto a talk show, what do? You talk.
Exactly.
People call you on the phone, you talk. I do what I'm
Exactly.
supposed to do. What do you want? You know,
Yeah,
anyway.
we want you to talk. So no, we want to hear your
Absolutely.
stories.
Absolutely.
Anyway, like I said, with regards to what was I saying? Now I've lost my track. Jeez.
Quick and the
Well,
Undead.
I had said that the
Okay,
Quick and the
yeah.
Undead was your first film.
My whole life as a kid, I grew up in a very small town in Texas. Okay, not much to do at all. And when I was about 6 or 7, I discovered back then they had the old late shows that really showed the classics that you can only now see on Turner Classic Movies.
Right.
Humphrey Bogart, Jimmy Stewart, all those, James Cagney.
He is a historian, by the way. He knows his stuff. So
Nice.
he knows his stuff. Sorry, Parrish.
No, you're fine. And anyway, I realized at a very early age, man, this was magic. These films could take me away to places I could never imagine going, and on adventures I could never imagine going on. And I was a little bitty kid. It was my earliest realization of what was and or is escapism. And I just knew, I told my parents even as a small kid, I want to do that. And they said, get out of here, kid. You're not in Hollywood. You think you are. But I ended up going to college. I got married. And in about 1997, my dad introduced me to a high school buddy, as my late father, at that time in 97, introduced me to Joe Don Baker. Joe Don played Buford Pusser. He played, so all those, He also, again, came from the same small town I came from, went to high school with my father.
Wow.
And Joe Don and I struck up a conversation, and he was the first one who said, when I expressed to him my aspirations, he was the first one who said, you can do it. He said, but here's how. And he guided me through acting classes and different things. He had my wife and I out to LA several times early on. And I called Joe Don my mentor because, that's really what he is to me. And still, he's super supportive. Every premiere I've had in LA, he's there. Great guy he is. Great guy.
And he'll be in Cowboys from Hell too, as well.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
When Billy brought up Cowboys from Hell to me, he knew that I had a long-term friendship with Joe Don, and Billy asked me, do you think you could get Joe Don to maybe come on board and do a cameo? And Joe Don, by the way, he's retired. Joe Don right now, he enjoys painting. He's a tremendously talented artist. Canvas artist. And so his whole, if you will, outlook on getting up at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. for an early set call to go, act, he looks at that as kind of something he's retired from. But I talked to him, and he actually said, well, Parrish, he said, okay, he said, for you, fuck it, I'll do it.
Holy shit, Parrish cusses too.
Yeah.
But ultimately, he did tell me, he said, but you can tell this director, and he's talking about Billy, don't schedule any goddamn motherfucking wake-up call for me before 11 a.m. He said, I don't do 6 a.m. anymore. And Joe Don's 84, so.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, so it's kind of a cool thing because it's something that means a great deal to me to be able to, have that moment on screen with Joe Don, because if it weren't for Joe Don, I would have never had the courage to pursue any of it. Because the one thing that you can count on if you want to get into film, you're going to have a lot of people tell you, and some of them, your family out of love and concern, they're going to tell you that you can't do that. And it's a tough business. It is. Mm-hmm. But if you've got someone, and I was blessed and fortunate to have Joe Don to come along and not only encourage me, but to help me avoid a lot of the pitfalls, then it can be done. And, you know, it's about the amount of work you want to put into it, as Jordan said. He said that to me. You've got to work your ass off, okay? And I'll never forget, he told me, if you get into it for accolades or to win awards or just for the red carpet, you're getting into it for the wrong reason. And for me, it was never about that. And while I appreciate greatly, you know, those things that come along with, you know, film work, when you have a premiere and so I love the fans. If it weren't for the fans supporting what I do or any of us do, we wouldn't get to keep doing it. So the fans are number one, but it has to come from the heart of the actor. When you're out there on that set and you're doing that 14-hour day, it has to be your calling, your passion. You've got to love it, okay? And for me, it's that love, it's that high, it's that, you know, it's that. It's
Sam had that yesterday.
We got back into production on Normal Terror yesterday, and we were trying to get as much done as possible.
Right.
And you know, I ended up missing the couple of shows that we had scheduled for yesterday. One of them ended up canceling, so that worked out. But I missed the show with PJ yesterday. So you know, I was on set, and you know, being the writer, director, producer, set designer, and you know, and everything else that I'm doing, plus starring in it, you know, is quite a bit of a task to make sure that we get everything that we need to lined up. You know, because we're getting ready to put together a new trailer and you know, launch an Indiegogo to get this thing finished up and get it out early next year. So. You know, I completely understand that. You know, I think we finished up. We had a 10 a.m. call time, and I think we wrapped up right around like 9 o'clock.
Well, you know,
so it wasn't that bad, but we were, you know, we were transferring from the park scene back to the house, setting up the house, going from bedroom to bedroom, the hallways and kitchen, and you know, and all this other shit. And it was just like, holy fuck, man.
I've had a lot of
and I'm doing it myself, so.
I've had a lot of people, you know, they've asked, can you get me onto a film set so that, you know, they can watch a film being made, and after about 2 hours, they're ready to go home.
They're done.
Oh yeah.
But there is that thing that if you love it, if it's your passion, you know, and that I go back to watching those films as a kid, those Jimmy Stewart, James Cagney films, and by no means will ever be as great as those guys. They were like stars, but you know, if you love it, then the magic of being given this opportunity to tell a story through film, bring characters to life in a storyline written by someone else off that written page, that to me is like, wow, it's magical. And so if it's a 14-hour day, it doesn't seem like a 14-hour day.
It does go by quick.
It does. And, you know, I think it was Suzanne Plachette once said in one of her last interviews that in order to be successful as an actor, you've got to love it. You've got to have a passion for it. But in the end, it takes stamina. You have to be that last person standing at the end of a 14, 15-hour day and still be able to get up and do it again all over the next day. So Sam, I know what you're going through, man, but you got the passion, so stick with that, man. You'll do it.
The hardest part for me, man, is staying with it, because you know, with everything that's going on, you know, and the trouble getting the funding, and you know, and getting my actors' schedules, and you know, because I'm a single dad, so I mean, I take care of my kid. He's my number one priority, which is actually what this movie's about. So it works in great, but at the same time, it's a lot of difficult stuff because I'm working a full-time job. I'm taking care of my kid. You know, I'm trying to schedule actors. I'm writing. I'm doing, you know, all these other things, plus the special effects, set design, props, and, you know, doing all this running around shit, trying to get all this stuff in order. I had no clue it was this fucking hard when I first got started.
Well, you know, I've actually met people. I've met people who think that, well, a 2-hour film is shot in 2 hours. You know? And, you know, you know, a dear friend of mine, Betsy Palmer, I don't know if you guys remember that.
That's as a matter of fact, that's a Pamela Voorhees right there. She was actually a Pamela Voorhees
Really.
Yes.
Mhm.
She, you know, she passed away, God rest her soul, but I was fortunate to become friends with her and a few other people that I really grew up watching, you know, by meeting them through conventions because of the other films I'd done.
Oh, okay.
In fact, Betsy, I'll never forget, I was talking to her on the phone one day and she said, hey, if you're ever in New York, just give me a call. You come by, we'll have tea and whatever it was, you know. But I never got to do that. And I wish I had it. I've done 2 films in New York, but I never got to do that. So the things we do regret, you know. But essentially, we had some really good conversations on the phone. And, you know, one of the things that Betsy always said was, you know, you have to pop out of the womb an actor. In other words, it's already in there. It's a calling, just like people have callings to be reverend ministers or whether, I don't know, nurses, doctors, whatever, right? And you have to be willing then to, you know, take that gamble and risk because there's no guarantees, right?
Right.
There's no guarantees that you're going to make a living at it. There's no guarantees that even when you do a film that it's going to be received well by audiences, but you have to believe enough in the project and want badly enough the opportunities to go for it and do the best you can do, no matter the budget, no matter what. You know, I've done films where I've had trailers to change wardrobe in and to whatever. And then I've done films where I've had like a little stand-up tent or an all-night Texaco to change in. I don't care. You know, if the script is good and the people making the film have heart and soul, then I'm there. I want to do it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's a good character, if it's a good role, I'm going to.
Yeah.
Hey, just so you know, Parrish, when we started talking about Circus of the Dead, we have one of our faithful followers, James Blankenship. He fell in love with that movie. Yeah. He fell in love with it immediately, and I think he's watched it like 20 times in the last month and a half. I mean, some crazy. That's how much he loves it.
About 50.
Yeah, he's watching it a lot, and he'll be with someone and be like, have you seen Circus of the Dead? And if they say no, he pops it in. You know, he's in love. Just so you know that there's someone out there like that that's really connected with that movie.
That means a lot to me, and you know. That goes back to what I've said a lot, you know, that if I can do one film that, you know, it reaches out and I don't know, makes an audience member feel something, okay, or stirs something in them.
That's so cool.
And look, see, Parrish signed it.
Where?
No, you got to glare.
Oh, that's so cool. Good.
Isn't that awesome?
Yes.
But, you know, it goes back to me thinking about being that little kid, you know, lying on that couch watching those old classic movies. Who knows, maybe one day when I'm long gone, there'll be some little kid somewhere watching
for sure.
the horror films I did or something, and maybe that too can.
I think I got you off on a tangent, Parrish. To get back to what Sam was saying, you were trying to say how you. No, this is perfect. Just wondering how did you like Sam was saying? We thought that was your first movie. It was Quick and the Undead.
Yeah. What happened was after Joe Don got me, you know, into the classes and different things, then I was introduced to Chuck Norris.
Oh wow.
Who was wrapping up what was to be his final season of the old Walker, Texas Ranger show, which he shot in Dallas. And I
used to love that show.
Just Chuck Norris. It was
a fun show.
Chuck Norris.
And so I ended up doing 5 episodes during that final season. Wow. And they were just small parts, one-liners, a walk-on. I was a juror in one of them, you know. But it gave me that opportunity to really be on a real film set and to look at the mechanics of it all. Okay. When I say mechanics of it all, I think as an actor, it's really important for the actor to both love his or her craft, but to also understand what happens behind the cameras. That it takes a village, literally, for a film to come together. Okay. And if actors and crew work together hand in hand, then again, something good can come out of it. Something really sometimes better than what you imagine. I mean, we go back and look at horror history, like, again, films like Last House on the Left, which was made on a wing and a prayer back in
Mm-hmm.
1972, and it's a classic, right? Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Yep.
ultimate classic.
Ultimate.
Oftentimes, again, it is about, again, just thinking on your toes. When you don't have the money to pay $1 million to create this effect, you sit down and you say, okay, how as a group with very little money can we create this or that? And out of that comes some really cool stuff, I think. And that's why those films live on. But so I did the Walker Texas Ranger show. I got to know Chuck and Aaron. Aaron Norris is Chuck's brother.
Oh,
And
okay.
he directed many of those episodes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
And then Aaron did a film called Birdie and Bogey. I did that. And that was in 2004. I also did like several episodic programs. I don't know if you guys remember the old courtroom TV show that was produced by National Lampoon. It was entitled Eye for an Eye, and had Kato Kalin on it.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, first of all, Kato is a good guy, and he's not a dumbass. Okay, people think he's a dumbass because of that whole
OJ thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
OJ situation. But you know, he told me, and I'm going to get off track here again, but ask Kato.
That's fine. That's fine.
Ask Kato, do you think he did it? Which we all have our opinions. I will.
Yeah.
Anyway, bottom line, Kato kind of nodded. I won't say
Oh, wow.
But anyway.
Exclusive.
Exclusive.
Right? You got it, Lance.
But
Woohoo!
Kato told me, he said, you know, the whole nation thought I was a dumbass because of what they saw of me on the live trial coverage. And he said, that was a character I was playing. He said, I knew if I acted like a dumbass, they would ask me less questions.
Wow.
Oh, so that was smart.
So
Wow.
there you go. He did not want to be as involved as what he could have been because, well,
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I did that show. It was like one of those shows where kind of like Judge Judy, only on acid. Okay, it was over the top.
Nice.
Gotcha.
And we would shoot like 28 episodes a day. Studio, you go in, they lock you in. You're not going to get out, you know. I was both a plaintiff and the accused. I was a defendant. I would then they'd change your look and I'd be in the audience and I'd be the heckler, you know. So
Right.
That's
Well,
cool.
yeah. It was a
Oh,
good-
okay. See, I was thinking when I saw
That's
your
cool.
IMDb and has you listed as press photographer, I was thinking you were like the BTS photographer for it. I didn't
No.
realize that was actually a part you played in that.
Yeah. no, I
Okay.
played this photographer who was annoying as hell and wouldn't go away, and I was determined to get the story that was on
Nice.
Birdie and
Oh,
Bogey.
wow.
And anyway, it was a good time. Then in 2005, I was sent to audition for this role in this zombie western, and I went out, I auditioned. I had a call back, they had narrowed it down. I auditioned the second time, still didn't know if I got the part. Get back to the hotel, phone rang, and I got the part. I played the lead bad guy. in the
Check this out. Rhiannon, check this out. Blythe Remington.
Blythe Remington.
How
Oh,
cool is that?
That's who he played?
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Isn't that a great name?
Yeah.
It's a zombie horror western, and Blythe is.
Blythe.
I mean, the film's been out for a long time, so
It's a fun movie. It really is.
it's an over the top. It was shot to be an over the top, cheesy kind of, B zombie western, and it was directed by Jerry Knott, who really talented filmmaker, and Clint Glenn produced, and it was a good time. And it was shot. 80% of it was shot in Los Angeles, and 20% of it was shot back here in Texas.
Okay.
And it was shot actually where Don't Look in the Basement back in 1973 was shot,
Oh, wow.
as
Nice.
far as that Texas portion. So it has horror history behind it. And after the film was done, I flew back home, and about 6 months later, I get this call from Jerry, the director, who says, "We booked you a flight. You're coming back to LA." I said, "Oh, really?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "Anchor Bay and Stars Media has picked it up to release it, and they're going to premiere it at Mann's."
Oh,
I said,
wow.
Mann's as in Grauman's used to be, the
Yeah.
footprint, right? And I couldn't believe it. We did this little bitty zombie western that was going to premiere at Mann's And I was going to walk across the footprints of the Jimmy Cagneys and the Jimmy Stewarts and the people that as a kid I watched. And I told my wife that night, if nothing good ever happened to me again, that higher power or supreme being had smiled on me.
Had to have been surreal, just so surreal.
Oh.
It was.
Wow.
It was. And
It's funny that you talk about Mann's Chinese Theater because now it's called TCL Chinese Theater.
yeah, they changed it. Yeah.
Yeah, they've changed it again and changed ownership. But I was originally planning on premiering my film there because I have an open token to it. So
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
You know, it was like this really unique experience that I didn't expect. I didn't expect really that the film would get Anchor Bay as a distributor.
Yeah.
And that film came in, I guess, it was at the tail end of it when it came out. It was at the tail end of what I call that kind of golden era of mom and pop video stores, Blockbuster as well,
Right.
Circuit City, Best. It was in all those stores.
Mm-hmm.
And distributors at that time gave these films that were shot on budgets of a couple of $100,000. They gave them the full treatment with the big posters that hung in the video stores, and you know, it was a different time. And they would front money to the filmmakers. Okay, in other words, there were licensing fees. Anchor Bay licensed Quick and the Undead for 5 years, and there was a nice upfront fee for that.
Nice.
Now that doesn't happen anymore, which, again, distribution is ever evolving and everything has changed. And that makes it much more difficult for filmmakers now. What is this, 13 years later, to go out and get their budgets, okay, and to get the backers, because people start saying, well, now, wait a minute, I'm going to put X number of bucks into this film, and my odds of getting back, you know, my return or getting back my investment, much less any returns or profits, are pretty much, you know, not nil, but minimal. Okay?
But I think one of the issues with that is that people don't understand, and that's something that I'm battling right now, is it depends on the P&A deal that you put together as the filmmaker itself. Because if you have a good P&A deal, that you have the budget, you know, because most P&A companies will match your budget 50%,
right,
you know, to whatever you put in. You know, so I'm looking at a P&A deal right now for my film for $3 million. You know, but they don't understand that that's what it takes to put it out there, because anything under $1 million, you're not going to see it anyway. You know, you don't have enough money to put it out in front of everybody.
That's it. You know, here's the thing: investors get extremely nervous when the budget is too low.
Right.
You'd think that, you know, if you as a filmmaker, you've gone out and you made a really good film on $250,000, that would be a big plus for you. That somehow, you know, these guys with money would say, well, hell, let's get behind this guy. It doesn't work that way, especially in LA. It's more a case of, if it's too low, they get really nervous and they think, oh shit, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. If it's too high, they say, well, you've not done enough yet. You know, we need something more from you. It's a catch-22. So if you can make that film for 1.5 or 2 million, then you've got a good chance of getting distribution, etc. Do you have a good chance of making the money back? You know, therein lies the challenge now with, again, the video stores no longer existing. Everything is digital downloads. It's a challenge. Not saying that, you know, it can't happen, because it does. There's that film here and there that really, hey, lightning strikes, and not only does the film make the money back, but it makes quite a profit.
I'm actually glad you brought that up, because one of the films that I reference in my budget, in my business plan, is the Blair Witch Project. You know, which is, but how they did that, I think, is what's key to how they made so much money off of it.
Sure.
And the way they did that is they promoted it as being a real event that actually happened. Yep. But that's where the P&A budget comes in. Okay, is that they use that advertising to market it as real. And that was the brilliant strategy that they used, which is why it took off the way.
But here's the other trick. If you're a good filmmaker and you're able to go out there and you're able to make a good film on a couple of $100,000, don't tell people. Don't tell people you only had a couple $100,000. Yeah. Nobody has to know. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
People go out on the IMDb and they list their budgets. I mean, I go out there periodically and look, and you'll see 50,000 or 100,000. Don't do that. List $1 million. Hey, because then you're going to be taken more seriously by those distributors who can potentially make your film a success. And you're right. There's been a lot of filmmakers over the years, and that kind of started too back when American International Pictures, back in the late 70s, if you recall, they sold out and they were bought out by Filmways. And Filmways had been around for quite a while. They did like TV distribution of old shows, and their first film, or one of the first I recall coming out under Filmways, was Dressed to Kill with Angie Dickinson and Michael Caine. The film was actually a low-budget slasher film, but they presented it, and if you go back and look at the motion pic at the movie posters, the poster art, it says a major motion picture from Brian De Palma.
Right.
And there's the key, it is about how you present your product, okay, as a major motion picture or as $1 million film, as opposed to, I did this for a couple of $100,000. I don't know, it's a crazy business. It shouldn't matter as long as the product is good. But from the business end of it all, it does matter.
Right. Well, and that's one thing that I learned from my executive producer. We have mine listed at 1.5. Yeah. Because, it's a whole lot easier to get big money than it is to get little money. Yeah. People take you seriously when you have it listed over $1 million. That's the sweet spot especially for a breakout film.
And that's in part because I think, with digital, filmmaking, independent filmmaking, it has been a blessing and a godsend for so many good filmmakers and actors across the country. But there's been a lot of people that have piled on to that bandwagon without any true expertise in that arena of what is filmmaking, right? So there have been some bad products out there. Right. And I think when the market becomes so glutted that you have to look for that diamond in the rough amongst a lot of not so great stuff, then that kind of cheapens the overall. So your good product will even suffer because of the 100 other not so good products. So you have to prove yourself. And that's a challenge. Yeah.
Is there, so out of all of your roles, and I don't know if you want to mention it or not, but is there one that was like your absolute favorite to do?
Actually, I would have to say Don in Circus of the Dead, because it gave me that chance.
You hear that, Billy Pond? You just gave you huge props. Exclusive right there.
More exclusives, yes.
I'm not saying that for Billy, because the truth is, as an actor, you're always hoping for that role that's going to allow you to show a range of emotions, kind of run the gamut. To play the ordinary, everyday guy, I go back to Jimmy Stewart. If you remember the Alfred Hitchcock film, The Man Who Knew Too Much, he was the average guy. His son was kidnapped, right? And you see him go through all these different emotions, having to go from an average everyday father to suddenly he's distraught over the loss of his kid, and then he has to battle bad guys that he's in no way prepared to battle to get his kid back. And so that's the kind of role that I view Don as being. And so for me as an actor, that was both a challenge and a reward. I wanted that so badly. I mean, you go to all the acting classes and you assemble your tricks of the trade so that you can do all of these different things emotionally and such. And oftentimes in horror films, or just any films, you may get stereotyped. And you may only get to play the bad guy. And I love playing bad guys. They're colorful and they're, but occasionally you want to play that average guy with the range and the heart and the soul and the tears and the rage. And so for me, Don gave me that. And I'm forever ever thankful to Billy Pond for thinking enough of what I could do to give me that role once that other actor had kind of left the project.
It's like it was meant to be.
Well, I'm really thankful for it. I am. Now, having said that,
Dude, that was very touching, man. That hit me right here. No, seriously, it did, man. That was like the way you read that out, dude. It was like you were in a method moment right there, and you were like, dude, you were tugging on the strings right here, bro.
But the reality is, I mean, you have to, as an actor, show people what you can do, and then just showing them in the audition process isn't always enough, because if you played 18-year-olds where you're the bad guy, snarling and chasing cheerleaders through the woods with a chainsaw, whatever, it's hard for them to say, okay, we see you can play this part, but they have to think about, well, audiences also accept you. Are they going to view you as, the father that you're cast as, or are they going to view you still, are they going to watch this movie and they're going to be thinking about you playing Blythe Remington battling zombies, right? And a filmmaker takes a gamble when he gives an actor a chance to kind of break out of a mold. He takes a gamble on that, because if the audience doesn't buy into you as an actor playing that character, in my case, Don, if instead the whole movie they see Don, but they're thinking about Blythe Remington, it can ruin the whole movie experience for them. There's an interesting story years ago. George Reeves, who played Superman on the 1950s television show, he was cast in a film. I don't remember the title of the film, but it was a 20th Century Fox big budget or Universal, one of those. And when he came on screen, the whole audience erupted into laughter. It was a serious film, a serious role, but they said, "Oh, they're Superman," so that can happen. And so the gamble doesn't always pay off for filmmakers, which is why it's a gamble to cast an actor against type. And Billy had the guts to do that, and man, I'm grateful. Really, I am.
That's awesome.
That's awesome, man. I absolutely adore hearing your stories, but I think we're just about out of time.
I know.
So
Dang it.
We didn't get to as much as we would like to, but I think we're going to have you back on so that we can go over the rest of this stuff, because I think we could probably do like a 3 or 4 part expose on Parrish Randall.
That would be awesome.
Hell yeah.
Because he has so many good stories.
He's got a lot.
And you're so knowledgeable on things. It's really neat.
People say I talk too much, okay? And again,
And that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
I get excited about film because I love film. And I'm passionate about it. And when I get with people who will talk film with me, I can rant on way too much. So I'm sorry.
Can I ask one real quick?
No, that was.
Can I ask one quick thing?
Before you do that, Lance, hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Dude, we're going to have to get together and get you in one of my films. Because we both have that love and that passion. I've talked to a few people, Tyler Shea-Cohn, Billy Pond, Bill Oberst. We've all talked, and we've decided we're just going to make one a hodgepodge of a fucking movie, and we're all just going to give our love into it.
Hell yeah.
Okay,
just real quick.
Sorry, go ahead.
Real quick. Okay, talk about Joe Don again. Just go back to real quick to Joe Don.
Sure.
So he was to me as a child of the 70s, he was the first walking tall. He was the big. Is he really that big? Is he really that big?
Yeah, Joe Don is about, I would say about 6'7". He's a tall guy.
Okay. I've always wondered if he's really that tough, or just like the camera angles.
I'm right at 6 foot, and he's about a head and a half taller than me. So
okay.
Wow.
But really, before we go, I do need to shout out a couple of things.
Absolutely.
Hey, you've got 5 minutes, man. Shout out anything and everybody you want now.
I want to shout out to Anjanette Lewis, executive producer and actress in the film Rift, a film I did.
That's right.
Back. It is a really uniquely written story. It's a horror film, but it's got twists and turns. Almost Hitchcockian, okay? Cool. And I played Roger, a really bad, not so likable cop who's, let's just say he's a son of a bitch. He's a motherfucker, okay?
Lance, you almost had another exclusive.
I know it.
And working with Anjanette and that group was great, okay? And it looks like that film is going to premiere in the hotel screening room portion of cult classic convention this February.
Oh,
So
Yeah.
Anjanette will be there, Ashley Ray, myself, and a few others potentially. So Lance, guys, whoever's there, you get
We'll
to
be
see
there.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
Circus of the Dead is going to screen Friday night under the Texas skies
cool.
at the
Hell yeah.
gas station in Bastrop with the Saw First Ward. Marilyn, God rest her soul, would be excited for that, and I hope she's up there
Absolutely.
watching somewhere. And then also the other film I did up in Ohio, I was cast in a film called Fun, F-U-N. And I play a father who is a Gulf War vet who essentially comes home. He suffers from PTSD. He gets over it. His daughter, too, comes back years later as a war veteran from the Iraqi War. She is going through the same thing he did, PTSD, and then she is brutally attacked.
Oh, wow.
And my character, let's just say he doesn't take well his baby girl getting attacked. You
Oh,
know?
wow.
And,
Oh shit.
Yeah, so his name at playing that character, Kevin, was awesome. And I think it's interesting to note that both these films are made by groups that are headed by female filmmakers, women in horror. And what I've seen here is the women are a force in this industry. They always have been. Okay.
Absolutely.
You know, nobody, if you go back to the 80s, you know, or before the 30s, Fay Ray, King Kong, she's in his hand. Nobody really gave a damn what happened to us hairy-legged boys, okay? They wanted to see the girl saved, okay? It's like the damsel in distress.
Yeah.
And now you've got women taking, though, roles within the industry, and I don't mean film roles, proactive roles as director, producer, writers.
Mhm.
And what's coming out of those female-run production groups is some very unique horror stories. And I'm excited to be a part of those and hope to get to work for more, you know, again, groups that are, again, being headed by women in horror, you know.
Mhm.
I
Awesome.
love the work that they do and what they bring. There's a difference, okay? They bring a difference. I don't know. It's just a different tweak of a different story. A little more emotion, a little more subtext. Not that out-and-out slasher films aren't great, but I do love what the women in horror are bringing to the films that they make.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's getting more popular, which is super cool.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, I heard a lot of, in fact, I spoke with Anjanette earlier today. You know, a lot of women, you know, Anjanette, Brooke Lewis, Kelly, Maroney, friends of mine, you know, they're tired of sitting around waiting on good roles. Okay.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So why not go out there and say, hey, we can make a movie. We can go out in mass budgets. We can do this too. Okay. We don't have to wait for someone to cast us as a screen queen.
Right.
We can go and we can cast the people we want and tell our own stories. And that's what the ladies are doing. And hats off to them for that. So,
Nice.
Kudos.
Absolutely.
Kudos.
Hell yeah. That's so awesome.
so watch for Rift again in February. It's premiering. And then Fun, we just finished it. It's in post-production. It'll be out shortly. Robbie Barnes, again, plays my daughter. And as well, she's one of the co-executive producers for Holiday Fun Productions. And I can tell you, you know, it was a blast working for them up in Ohio. It was. So
Nice.
look for those two films. And look for Cowboys from Hell. And I'm doing another film out in Arizona, which it's going to be hot, but at least we'll be in the kind of, you know, the
Winterish time.
Winter.
Yeah. Unless
It's like 70 or 80.
Yeah.
I can't really say much about it, but it's a film. It's a road terror film. I've always, ever since I was a kid and saw Duel, you know, I wanted to do a road terror film, and so I'm going to have the opportunity to do that. So
Oh, cool.
look forward to it. Yeah.
Wow.
So
You got all kinds of stuff going on.
Yeah, man.
you just got to work hard to keep working, right?
There you go.
Right?
Name of the game.
You're doing it. You're
That's
doing
it, man. You gotta hustle, you gotta grind, you gotta follow your dreams.
Well, if you can't wait for them to come to you, you've got to go out there and hustle and work hard to keep working. And the more your work gets out there, people see it, and filmmakers contact you, and they fly you to, you know, locations. And you know, you get paid to do what you love to do. Okay. And that's the ultimate blessing if that happens. And I'm fortunate and thankful that has happened for me. I mean, this is my living. This is what I do. And it's like never having to really work at all. Okay.
That's awesome.
I spent 20 years in corporate America. Trust me, that was work and that was bloodshed. I hated corporate, but this is
Love what you do.
just loving what you do and getting paid to do it.
You can just tell by his face.
You know it.
Just, yeah, you can see it in your face that you love it.
And he is just like that in person, Tommy. He is so just looks right in your eyes and talks to you, and amazing human being right there.
Hey, you guys are amazing. You know, it's because of folks like you, Lance, and Rihanna, and Sam, and the fans that support the genre, and the fans that come to the conventions and they come to the table like you have with your wife Samantha. You know, you guys are the reason that anybody who's an actor and makes their living acting, you guys are the reason that we get to do it. You guys and your support, you're the reason for the season and the reason we do it and the reason we get to continue. So you guys are the rock stars. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
I'm serious.
He's the best, man.
He's so nice.
He's so awesome.
All right, Lance, Mr. Parrish, I really appreciate you coming on the show. It's been a blast.
Yeah.
It's been amazing. Everybody keep an eye out for what Parrish has got going on. This dude loves what he does. It's been an amazing show. Thank you so much for your kind words, your knowledge, your experience, your history lesson, and just your passion. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you guys for having me, and
thank
thanks
you.
to all the heart and folk out there that support the genre. I love you guys.
We love you.
Oh, we love
Parrish.
you guys. Oh, that's so awesome.
Aww.
I love it. Someone's so happy to do it.
Okay,
All right, Lance, take us out, brother.
Here's our shout outs, Parrish. So we got another podcast, our sister podcast, Primetime Horror Podcast. It's got Lance Dale. We referred to him as L2. Thad Timothy and David Martin. They'll be having some shows pretty quick. They're getting all their stuff, all their technical stuff together. Big fan. He's a big gas station guy too. Scott Williamson. You may remember him from the Cult Classic Convention. James Blankenship, who I met earlier, is just totally in love with Circus of the Dead. Damon Williams is out there in Cali with Sam I Am, so he's a big supporter of the show. And also Daryl Hook is in California. He's a big fan.
Yep.
And then Roy and Lisa Rose, they own the gas station. They run the Cult Classic Convention, which Circus of the Dead reunion's coming up. I'm freaking.
That's
I'm
so
just,
cool.
I cannot contain myself. I need February to get it. Need to get it to you.
14th through the 16th. Be there.
All right.
Valentine's Day weekend. That's right. Let's see. Thanks again to Charles Harsky, our buddy. He bought a shirt from Sam. He bought Rhiannon's book. He bought the VIP passes to the Cult Classic Convention. He's all in on our show. He loves us, and I've known him for a very long time. Good guy. So I want to, since Parrish on the show, I'd make sure I say hello to Billy Pawn, Bill Oberst Jr., Chanel Ryan. Cannot wait to get all them in the same room. Tiffany, I think Tiffany's going to be there too, correct?
Tiffany's going to be there, yes.
She's going to be, so it's going to be freaking awesome. Tyler Shea Cone, Tamara Glenn, Chris Attella does our music, our in and out. Matthew Price Thompson does our graphics. And, of course, Samantha, my off-screen producer, doing so much better after her surgery. And then my co-hosts, who are just a blessing to me every day. I freaking love having them in my life. Rhiannon, Zombie Barbie, and Sam Eam. I love that guy so much. And Oakley Dokley, I'm done.
All right, Miss Rhiannon, what you got, sweetheart?
All right. Everybody, as usual, that Lance just said. And there's my book. So pre-order is, yep. So what's today?
Tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow. So
it hits tomorrow on
yeah,
Kindle.
So Kindle's tomorrow. Paperback's available now. So I want to thank Aaron Lee with Crazy Ink Publishing for taking me on and getting all of my books. I have 3 of them that are, well, I have 2 more that are coming out after this one, working on my 4th. We have another one coming out, I think, in like a year or so. Yeah, so there's a lot going on there. And thank you so much, Parrish, for coming on. You have been so fun to talk to, and you know so much. So it's awesome to hear all of your stories, and
Parrish
definitely
Randall
have to have you come back on.
Hey, thank you guys for having me on. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Tried not to talk too much, but as usual, I did.
We
That's-
love
it's
when
good.
they
It's
talk,
good. Yeah,
though.
it's
At least
good
you have
that you
something to
did.
say.
Yes.
Instead, we're all sitting here like,
amazing.
And we get to bring you back now. So see, because you got more
Yeah.
to say.
Right.
Really cool.
Yes.
well, it's better than like sitting there and you have nothing to say and you're like, so,
Um,
anyways, about that movie.
Thank you guys for having me on, and it's been a blast talking to you guys. And I look forward to coming back on and
Hell yeah.
bullshitting some more with you guys anytime you want. Okay?
Awesome.
Yes.
Yay.
Yes.
So,
And then
All right,
real
guys.
quick, I want to thank you guys, my co-hosts. I'm like, wait.
well, I haven't gotten to do my fucking shout outs
Well,
yet.
that's
Come on,
why I
do it.
said. That's why I said
It's your
hurry up.
turn.
Well, that's why I hurried up and did it.
So, Parrish, again, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been a pleasure, and thank you for sharing the normal terror stuff. It's a blessing to have you, supporting us in what we do and supporting indie film. My co-host Lance Rhiannon and Miss Sam, the producer behind the scenes. Thank you guys so much for everything that you guys do. I couldn't do this without you guys. We're a family, and it's an amazing experience. So thank you guys for allowing me to be a part of this. And I really want to thank my entire team over at Sacrificial Productions for our locations and setup and shooting and everything that we got going on with this. My executive producer, Eve Gray, thank you for the work you're doing. Tyler Chacon, executive producer, thank you so much for all that you're doing. And everybody out there that's supporting us and keeping us going. Without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. Like Parrish was saying, we do it for you, not just because we love it, but we do it to give you guys something. So thank you guys, everybody, for supporting us in what we do. Primetime Horror Show is going live soon.
Very soon. Should be very soon.
So that's
Probably by
another
the time this comes out, they'll have 3 or 4 episodes already in the can. So.
fucking
Nice.
score.
Hell yeah.
So, help support those guys. Brian Clegg, Daryl Hook was mentioned already.
Brian Clegg will be on. He'll be on the show next weekend, I believe.
Yep.
Okay, sweet.
We'll have him on.
Wait, what?
Yeah. We're gonna have Brian Clegg on next weekend.
Oh, fuck, man. Okay.
You have to be there. Sorry.
I know, man. Hey, dude, with production schedule and everything else we got going on, man, I'm doing more footage next weekend. Fucking, we're doing a murder scene next weekend, so.
We'll keep you straight. We'll keep you straight.
But anyways, guys, so thank you guys so much. Thanks for tuning into another episode of Sacrificial Terror Podcast. We out.
Bye.